Now, let's take Chris in California. Chris, you were on last week. Hopefully that was
Hi, Jamie.
Hey, Chris, you're on with me, and holy fuck, I'm sitting next to Andrew Seidel.
Hi, Chris.
I've heard the introduction to him several times.
Yes.
I don't know if I'll say it again, but anyway, the HF word. But anyway, hi. Yeah, Jamie and Andrew, good to talk to you. And thanks for taking me first. Wow.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome. I mean, as I said at the top of the show.
We left off last time, right then. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here, why don't you fill the audience and Mr. Seidel, Esquire, in on where we left off last week?
Yeah, in brief, I said what I was. I'm an agnostic. I don't believe there is a God. I don't believe there isn't. I don't know. I believe it gets down to belief, and it's one of the things that comes out is the definition of belief. I don't know what you guys' definition is, but I look in the dictionary. It says to have trust or confidence as being true, real or good. Is that what you think belief is?
It's close. For a second, I was going to ask you which dictionary you were using that said to believe that it is true, real, good.
New American. I had a Webster around here, but
it's fine. Dictionaries describe usage, describe common usage rather than prescribe what should be.
What makes a difference here is what we're defining it as, and we're talking. So we start with belief means this, and then we agree, and then we talk about it. But
I think that's an excellent way to proceed. Generally, I would describe belief. I think the phrasing is actually Matt's originally, but to accept as true or likely true. Or in part because saying trust and confidence are ways in which theists describe faith when they're trying to call it or describe it as something other than religious faith. But
it's the faith that's not really religious faith, where you have a reasonable expectation.
That would be a reasonable belief.
That's like the I have faith that the light's going to go on when I flip the light switch. It's actually a reasonable expectation based on history.
You have faith
not religious faith.
Yeah. You have faith that when you turn something on, it'll turn on. Yeah. Boom, faith.
Yeah.
I generally am not coming from faith and religious and all that.
That's good.
So I don't follow all that, but. All right. Well, let me. So I got in trouble when I talked to the esteemed Mr. Matt, who you will be with, Andrew, here in an hour or so. Anyway, when I talked about how the whole thing started with me as a joke, kind of in my own life, when I said. Everything is true. How about that? Everything's true with religions and stuff, and they all kind of fit together, and the good parts are parts.
I don't understand what you mean.
And maybe just parts of it. Not everything and everything is true. So anyway, I was explaining that, and it got me into all kinds of trouble.
I would expect so.
Yeah, I would expect
comments on my videos and all that kind of thing.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, so I would expect that Matt would jump in there and demonstrate why that is not a cogent belief to have consistent.
Everything is true. There is a God. There is no God.
Either you only one of the two following things can be true. Either Muhammad was the last prophet, or Joseph Smith, who came after him, was a prophet, or something else. Neither of them were prophets. So these two things cannot be true.
I'd say. I don't know. Let me explain just briefly.
Yeah, because it sounds like this isn't a belief you hold anymore. Is that the case?
No, I'm not changing my beliefs. So I believe the same thing in all my calls, and nothing's varying. But in relation to my calls, this has to do with your engineers and how they title my little segment. And the first one, where I was talking to Matt, it was titled "Everything is True?" ? And that's where they were focusing on with me. And let me just say, no, I don't think that. And the things that I saw coming up we're talking about a basic truth and my own personal truth.
So, Chris, it sounds like you're reluctant to call yourself an atheist, but you're happy with the label agnostic. Is that kind of where you're going?
I'm not an atheist. I am not an atheist. I looked at the definition of true. The second one says reliable, certain. That's kind of what I'm talking about. True and personal truth.
Okay, so
the third definition says in accordance with fact that agrees with reality, not false. that's one that you guys seem to latch onto, and it's black or white.
In accordance with reality, I mean, yes, we tend to ascribe a binary value to the truth value of a claim or a statement. So let's start with what.
Means what now? Binary means what now exactly?
So
one of two.
One of two options. Having only two options in terms of a binary value.
Oh yeah, so it's either true or not true.
I mean, yes, that is.
There's no percentage of truth. I got to.
No. I mean, yes, people go on that, but that's about confidence, not truth value. So.
Well, if you look at the definition of truth as reliable or certain, I have percent certainty over everything, except for things that are absolutely true that I can physically know and that kind of thing. But,
okay, so for example, the statement, "I'm holding a mug," which is available for purchase here or whatever.
That was well done.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's actually the most chilling I've ever done. Yeah, but do you believe that I can be 50% holding a mug? Not in terms of my grip, but like my hand is in physical contact with this mug. That is a statement that is either true or not true. That's what I mean by truth, because what you're describing appears to be your level of confidence in a conclusion, which I'm glad that you evaluate how confident you should be in conclusions. That's a good way to operate, rather than assuming,
You're digging out one of my problems, which I'm not well-versed in philosophy and debate of concepts and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I have my own feelings about things, and I care about religion. I'm almost 60, and I thought about this stuff my whole life. You kids these days, I'm not sure. No, okay.
Yes, that was early on.
Yeah, out there. Okay.
Yeah. Well, actually, anyway. Kids these days don't truck with religion as much, which I think is an optimistic look for our country, provided that we can stop so many fucking activists being appointed for life into the judiciary, who have zero respect for the law or decisis or any of the things that have made
the Constitution.
Yeah.
But anyway, then, guys, if I could briefly address the other video that was me that didn't get quite as many bad comments, but the title from your lovely engineers back there was called "Believe Everything First and Assigning Probability to All Things."
I think it's probably less a description of you and more of the conversation. Like, so I don't mean to cut you off.
First.
Well, I'm glad, right? And I didn't think you did. I'll be honest, I don't go back and vet the names of the way that the clips are on a regular basis.
And you probably shouldn't read YouTube comments for.
Yeah.
The comments are.
I would advise.
They're from trolls and who knows what, and generally not that nice. But just to kind of say, and this is almost all that I really need to say, unless you guys have other questions.
I mean, yes.
One comment from Lars, wherever he was.
Okay, we'll do one comment.
To everything is true. His comment was guessing. What he wanted to say that he acts as if everything has at least the potential to be true until it has been proven to be false. So I would guess that in his mind, the burden of proof is switched, or he just says, as long as something is not proven to be false, he won't say that it is.
Is that his comment describing you hopefully inaccurately, or is that his thought process?
That's exactly. That sounds exactly where I am.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So you believe that things are possible until demonstrated otherwise? Generally.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's hard
the burden of proof there is definitely in the wrong.
Yeah. So it's a little bit backwards there. So in the same way that the burden is on the prosecution to demonstrate guilt in a courtroom, the burden is on the claim to demonstrate that it's true with evidence and context, right?
Yeah.
The claim, "I am 4 ducks in a human suit," is not something that you should believe is possible. You
certainly
should
not believe it's true.
Yes, certainly, yes. Or is it? We don't know. But is that what you wanted to discuss as far as your epistemological basis for coming to conclusions? Or did you want to discuss God? Because those are the two things that we can discuss going on from here. But this call has gone on for a ways before addressing either epistemology or religion specifically.
Heck, it was only 10 minutes. Okay, but yeah.
Well, we did get to read some YouTube comments.
God's fine, I guess. I don't know.
I don't. So you've said here. We'll get to the meat of the issue right here. You've said that you're an agnostic and not an atheist, right? But
is that correct?
Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Do you believe that a God or gods exist?
Exists?
Do you? Yeah.
Do I believe that a God or God exists? How'd you say that?
One or more gods exist.
I don't believe that God exists or believe that God doesn't exist.
Good for you. So you do not there are
God.
multiple beliefs that you do not hold. One of them is that one or more gods exist. So in practical terms, that is how I use the word atheist, though I won't force you to self-identify in that way.
It's hard to believe anything, or truly believe anything.
Well,
if
that
you're
appears.
about,
So, Chris, here, Chris, real quick. Chris, real quick. Yeah. So that seems to be in direct conflict with the entire first part of this conversation, where you talk about all of the things that you believe and believing them with percentages of confidence.
Yeah,
and accepting that a thing is likely to be true is a belief, right? That something is possible.
Yeah.
That
when you start talking about God or spiritual things and stuff, that's all. It's not black and white to me. Somewhere in between.
When you say it's not black and white, do you mean it's not either true or not true?
Right.
So, okay.
If you're talking absolutes, yes.
So
that's correct.
When you say it's not black and white, you believe that it's possible for something to be. What word would you even use for that? Like I'm
partially like this is where he's getting into his percentages.
Percentages.
I was in trouble when I gave the percentage of.
Yeah. So
I mean, I give a percentage of certainty. You know.
I now have this curiosity, right? Like there's subtle cues from the audience as far as whether or not they want me to continue this call.
I don't think they're subtle.
They're perhaps less subtle.
The crowd's going wild.
Going wild in one way or another. But
no, I see a pitchfork now. Put it down.
So Chris, I'm not sure that we've gotten to the root of this. We do actually have a couple of calls here.
I don't know if there is a root of this, Jamie. I mean,
there may not be. So listen, there are ways for us to engage online, on Reddit or even through Twitter. I think might be a suitable format for this exchange. Do you want me to give you those things, or just see them in the lower third, or?
I wrote down your email address, and I don't know about
there you go.
Reddit and all that. But
cool. I'll help you get on there over email.
Community.org. But
TV app. Yes.
I don't think there's any point. I've done what I wanted to do. Last time I said what my belief was.
Yeah.
So we talked about it. I cleared my name on these titles of these.
All right.
You feel vindicated, Chris?
I think I did.
I'm glad that you feel vindicated. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next call. Thank you for calling in again.
Sorry to bore you.
Oh, no. I'm not bored at all. I am rarely bored and hyper patient. Yeah, they're putting the torches down. Thank you for calling in, and I think we're going to go ahead and move to the next